specific fingers, you are choosing one Unrecht as opposed to another, and therefore you are automatically leaving some out. You're leaving most of them out. And so I decided that because of the universality of Beethoven, which is generally agreed upon, I don't think anybody will argue about that, and because the music is very good, to say the least, that an all Beethoven program seems the best thing to do. I did avoid the really obvious program, which is the Ninth Symphony.
I think known persons, artists and so forth, have joined.
Place.
Yehudi Menu in London.
In general, have joined.
Support us during Prisoners of Conscience here. Probably all.
Vice versa.
Film rights and
I see.
CD rights, whatever you mentioned before.
If you would like to speak something.
Verzeihen Sie mir, wenn ich Englisch spreche. It's always difficult for me, the first time after a long absence, to speak German. 2 days more I can speak to you in German, but it takes a few days before I can be flüssig, or whatever the word is.
Möchten Sie, dass es übersetzt wird? Möchte irgendjemand, dass es übersetzt wird?
I have very little to say. I am not here as a representative of Amnesty International. I'm here because I agree with and love the principles which guide Amnesty International, and I have been associated with it for many years. The main thing that interests me about it is that it is so even-handed. Maybe that has to be translated. It is so fair,
Politisch ausgeglichen.
and it is politically independent in the sense that it does not ally itself with any political creed. This is not very commonly understood. In fact, it's very commonly misunderstood. I have heard somebody only 2 days ago refer to Amnesty International as that communist organization. This is ridiculous. Obviously, if it were a communist organization, it would not be trying to rescue political prisoners in the Soviet Union. Das braucht man nicht zu sagen. For example, to another country I love very much, which is Israel, where I have been going for almost 30 years. In fact, when I go this coming April, it will be my 30th anniversary of my first appearance there. Before it was Israel, when it was Palestine, 1947. And again, in spite of this great closeness and love that I have for that country, I am absolutely with Amnesty International in every effort they make to correct any injustice in regard to political prisoners. These are just some examples of what I mean by even-handedness. I'm just trying to explain what is the most common misunderstanding, I think, about the organization. In America, there is still a further misunderstanding in which Amnesty International is confused in many people's minds with the amnesty problem in general, which relates to the Vietnam War, and whether the president will grant amnesty to defectors from that war or resistors or deserters. And that has become one of the issues in our present political campaign. Again, Amnesty is independent of that. I don't want to take your speech away. I just want to make clear that I am allying myself in a completely non-political way with Amnesty International because I believe with all my heart in what it is trying to do. And the fact that I am very much for Jimmy Carter in the coming elections has nothing to do with Amnesty International. It may have a little something to do with Amnesty for Vietnam resistors. But that's my affair, and that has nothing to do with them. I want to make it clear that they are independent of this subject. Further than that, all I have to say is that it's very pleasant to be in Munich again, this beautiful southern weather, and to see this beautiful city from the top of this beautiful hotel. It's even prettier than I remembered. And I look forward very much to this concert on Sunday. I have conducted many benefit concerts in my life for one cause or another, ranging from multiple sclerosis to whatever. And always, Naturally, I have given my services without charge, and my colleagues who were the same.
Mitglieder von Amnesty International ja jeder Tag massiver Zeuge ist des Unrechts, der in
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you also, Mr. Bernstein. The headquarters of Amnesty International is in London. There we have the structure which tries to obtain information about individual prisoners of conscience, people who are in prison because of their religious or political beliefs, providing they have not advocated or practiced violence. There we have a research department. We have the secretariat which prepares the publications and the reports, which sends the missions, the observers to trials, and of course prepares the material which comes out to you of the press on a fairly regular basis, unfortunately, because the situation in human rights throughout the world is getting worse. The reason that we are here is perhaps appropriate. The headquarters is in London, where the pound is going down, and the fundraising concert is in Germany, where the pound is worth little but the mark is worth much more. And I think this is a good example of the way in which Amnesty International tries to make the maximum use of its resources. We ask our artist friends and members to work for artists who are in prison and to use their own skills and talents on behalf of their colleagues and others in prison throughout the world. This concert is not for the Amnesty International movement in Germany. It is for Amnesty International movement throughout the world, including the section in Israel, including the work which we're doing in the United States, including the group of Amnesty who are in the Soviet Union, the secretary of whom is in prison at the present time. The work which we do does have universal application, and in the report which we gave this year, we touched on the problems of prisoners in over 113 countries. There are more countries where human rights violations continue. We do not know the whole truth about the countries which we work on. We are limited, we are restricted, inevitably, by the resources and the facilities which are available to us. You cannot write to a government and say, please sir, will you tell us about the people you torture? You have to go out and find that information, and you have to prove that it is true. Because if we make mistakes, we are lost. We depend entirely on our credibility and the actuality of our information. And that is why we cannot, as a voluntary organization, have too much support, because we only exist on the membership, not on the governments. And in the field of human rights, it is only voluntary organizations, it is only people, not governments, who can take the initiative to correct the gross violations which continue throughout the world.
Sich zu melden, damit ich
I think that this can be of great help.
He didn't understand.
I